Hey guys, welcome back to the SRU Campus Rec YouTube channel. My name is Alex. So for this session this week, we're going to be doing is just a full body flexibility and mobility session. So the first dynamic warm-up we're going to start off with is just doing chest flies. We're going to be doing chest flies, in this case 10 reps total, just making sure when you're doing these that you bring your arms all the way back, and then also engaging the chest by squeezing in as we're in that middle position. So next position that we're going into is wall rides. This will help with working the rear delts and also getting a bit of mobility into the shoulder as well. So with this one, again, feet up against the wall, back as well. In this case, we're trying to keep our arms as flush to the wall as we can. If you can't, it's just kind of make sure that as you're going up, as you notice here, you're kind of almost trying to push your arms back to engage the rear delts and some of those back muscles in there. This will also just generally help with if you have any form of shoulder rotation. I've definitely found that to be very helpful. So next thing we're going to be doing is a palm twist. In this case, as you can see here, we have my right hand and left hand is opposite, going opposite twisting motions. This will help with, again, engaging the shoulders and just getting some blood into those regions and generally warming up the muscles, which we're going to want prior to going into stretching, at least for this session, or if you're looking for just a general warm-up for any workouts you would do. So next thing we're going to be doing is actually going to be a side squat. So in this case, it's making sure that you're going down each side and going down to about 90 if you can, if not anywhere between parallel and about 45 degrees is kind of common for this. So with working, getting some blood into the quads and lower leg muscles, along with that is also generally also opening up a bit of the hips as well as we're moving into then high knees. Now in this case, I'm doing the high knees themselves for 30 reps total, 15 reps each leg. And I forgot to mention earlier, but for both the wall rides, palm twists, and also side squats, we're doing those for reps of 10. So next thing we're doing is going to be frog walk-ins. For these, it's once you have your feet up at your hand level, it's kind of hanging out there for about a second or two. Kind of let your hips drop a bit and then going back into that plank position. Again, this will help with not only getting blood into the legs, but also with opening up the hips as well and getting a bit of mobility, working on a bit of mobility rather, in the hips if you might be having some hip problems. So to finish up the dynamic warm-up, we're actually going to be doing a walking hamstring stretch. In this case, I'm doing it stationary, but if you have the room, it's definitely going to be efficient to do this moving forward. With this one, it's you just kind of want to kind of swoop down, as you kind of notice here, to not only kind of stretch out the hamstrings, but also stretch out a bit of the calves as well. And again, this is just to kind of get blood into those lower extremity muscles to more efficiently prepare them for any kind of workout that you're about to do, or in this case, stretching. So the first static stretch that we're actually going to go into is going to be a wall stretch. In this case, I have my palm up against the wall instead of having my kind of hand grasping the wall. So with this one, you're definitely going to feel it again with a lot of the wall stretches or a lot of the chest stretches that we're doing. You're definitely going to feel it into your rear delts, front delts, and also your chest as well, which is what we're hoping for. So with this, when we're doing it, for all these stretches, I might not be doing them in the video itself, but hold them for about 30 seconds per stretch. If you need to go a bit longer, you can, up till about probably 60 seconds. So, especially with this one, it's making sure that when your arm is up against the wall, that you're kind of lightly pressing yourself forward, kind of think of it as you're pressing your weight forward through your shoulder to get the stretch in. But again, with all these, it's going to the point of mild discomfort, not pain. So if you start feeling any kind of pain in your shoulder, it's to kind of bring it back a bit. So next thing we're actually going into is going to be an overhead shoulder press stretch of sorts. So with this one, we're going to be clasping our hands together, as you notice, and then overhead we're just going to be pressing through our palms upward. This will help with stretching out the shoulders as we're going through the session. So right from the overhead shoulder press, we're then going to go into cross-body shoulder stretch. In this case, I'll be working a bit of the rear delts, along with generally the entire kind of deltoid region of the shoulders. Making sure you're not kind of twisting your body as you're doing it. It's making sure that your shoulders and your hips are kind of in line, and you're really kind of just pressing through that forward arm, pressing that arm back to get that stretch in. Alright, so the next stretch that we're doing is going to be a towel pull. So unlike previous weeks, instead of having the upper arm be the passive being stretched, in this case it's upper arm is actually going to be the one that's engaging the stretch, and the lower arm is instead going to be the one passively being stretched. So with this one, if you have a band, I would suggest using it because it definitely helps make the stretch feel a bit more impactful. You can do it with a towel. It's just making sure, as you might have noticed in the video itself, that over time, if you need to, you're slowly getting further down on a band or towel just to help with getting that stretch a bit deeper. Alright, so the next stretch that we're going to do is going to be just that last stretch that I've showed throughout a few of these sessions across the semester. With this one, again, it's making sure that you kind of utilize a table, a desk, chair. If you need to, you can also use your bed. It's just something that you can rest your arms on, but isn't also too low to where you're kind of having to heavily bend at the knees, as you might notice here. So the next stretch that we're actually going into is going to be a groin stretch. Alright, so the next stretch that we're going into is going to be a seated chest opener. So in this case, again, we're stretching at the chest, but also this is a good bicep stretch if you just hit a relatively hard bicep day. So this one, obviously we're seated, and as you can see here, I have my hands back behind my body. I'm pulling my shoulder blades together to not only stretch out the chest, but as I'm pulling my shoulder blades together, that's also getting that stretch right into that bicep as well. So moving on from there then, it's going to be a side lying quad stretch. So here is kind of no different than a standing quad stretch. We're just trying to pull our heel to our butt as we're doing it. This one's definitely a bit more useful if you might have difficulty just trying to do a traditional standing quad stretch, or doing kneeling quad stretch is a bit too hard on your legs. So with this stretch itself, it's just making sure that, again, and with all these stretches actually, is we're focusing on our breathing. So it's about 4-second inhale and about 6-second exhale. This will help with, again, generally allowing the stretch to get a bit deeper if it can go, and also help with general slowing down of the heart to kind of assist with making sure that this is a proper cool down and we're not trying to overexert ourselves too much. So with this one, it's a sprinter stretch next. So as you can see, I have my right leg bent at my side, and I'm reaching across my body to my left leg. When I'm doing this, is definitely going to be a good hamstring and calf stretch. Again, for this one, if you can last for 30 seconds, go for it. But with this one, it might be a bit more difficult, and maybe only try to go for about 20 to 15 seconds and then build up to that. So next thing I'm doing here is actually going to be a lying down quad stretch. In this case, I'm using a band to assist with getting this stretch set in. But with all these quad stretches I'm demonstrating today, it's, again, we're just pulling our heel to our butt, and the band is just assisting with making sure that the stretch itself is a bit more effective. So later on in this, I will demonstrate how to do it with a towel as well, for those of you who might not have a band available to you. So for this one, it's just going to be a simple toe touch, seated. So again, this will help with not only stretching out the hamstrings, but also stretching out a bit of the calves. And then from there, we're actually going to go into figure fours. So with this one, you're reaching in between your legs. In this case, I have my left leg resting on my right knee, and I'm reaching through, and I'm just pulling my left leg to my chest. As you notice here, trying to find a good hand position can be a bit difficult. So if that's kind of what's inhibiting you from doing it, I would suggest either trying to reach up a bit higher up on the leg, and then slowly as you go through, moving your hands down as you kind of gain more flexibility in the hips, or also making sure that you're kind of in this kind of cradle position, because being down on your back can make the stretch a bit more difficult to hold on to if you have not the greatest of flexibility in the hips. And then to finish up for today's session, all I'm doing is just going to be doing a simple seated twist. This will help with not only getting a bit of spine mobility in the session, but also helping with stretching out the outer hips and even into the glutes as well. So for all these stretches, aside from the ones I mentioned earlier, it's 30 seconds. If you want to, you can go up a bit higher in time to about 60 seconds. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.